It's almost Father's Day. Why not make a unique watercolor card for the father figure in your life? This video has 3 tutorials that'll be perfect for that person in your life. Hi there, my name is Audrey, your watercolor bestie, and welcome to my studio. This first card is perfect for the golfer. I sketched a small circle to represent the golf ball, then a wide oval, a long vertical line, and then the flag. I'm using my size 6 round brush and a warm brown color to color in the hole. And then using a darker reddish brown for the flagpole. I'm going to use red to fill in the gaps and then use the same red for the flag. Make sure to show some variation in value in the flag so that it feels like it's moving in the wind. Next, I'm using a light value of the chromium oxide green and then painting a medium value around the hole and the ball. Notice how watery my paint is. And then I quickly washed out my brush and using a watery, clean brush, just fading out that color. If your paint layer is still wet, you can go in there with a darker value of the chromium oxide green and just let that paint spread on its own, spontaneously. I'm going for a looser scenery and not worried about portraying it perfectly. I'm using a sky blue color for the sky and doing the same method where I'm just going around the object with a light to medium value, and then while it's still wet, you can go in there with a darker value. Always use a clean brush to fade out that color. If the red in your flag is still wet, you can definitely wait so that the paint color doesn't bleed. I'm using a little bit of burnt umber to darken the hole. And using a light purple color for the shadow. You can definitely use a smaller brush for this part, but I'm quite comfortable with my round size 6 brush. I'm using that same purple gray color to paint shadow details on the ball. And you can be as detailed or not as you want to. I think the scenery definitely makes sense without much detail. And for the card, I'm writing, "For the most terrific dad." There you go, that's card number 1. The second tutorial is for the music lover. I'm sketching out a large circle, a medium circle, and then a tiny circle. I just used whatever I had on hand to sketch out the circles. You want to leave the center tiny circle blank And for this middle section, you can choose whatever color you want. This will basically be the label of the vinyl record. I just chose a blue color, but you can really use anything. Notice the consistency of my paint. It's fairly runny, but not too runny. And we're gonna layer for a darker value later. Feel free to mix in different hues in that same color family. So while this is like a blue-gray color, I'm also adding a little bit of like a turquoise color just to make it more interesting. Make sure that that layer is completely dry before going on. And then for the outer section, I'm going to use mostly black. I'm using my size 6 round brush for this entire painting. And just take your time and work in sections. You can definitely use a larger brush if you want to. And notice how I have different values. I started out with a medium value, then I washed out my brush for a lighter value. And we're definitely gonna layer this section as well to make some areas a lot darker. Painting in these areas does not have to be perfect at all, so don't worry. I decided to add just a little bit of purple to my gray. And just let the colors bleed and mix on their own on the paper. Again, notice how some areas of my vinyl are darker and some areas will be lighter. Showing different values will make the vinyl record look a lot more interesting. And when we add our second layer, we'll know where to concentrate our colors. Once everything is dried, feel free to go in with that second layer. Your paint consistency has to be a lot thicker, and as you're fading that out, you want to make sure that, again, your paint consistency is not too wet. I'm using a little bit of the dry brush technique to make these streaky marks. I'm concentrating the darker values on both just the top center and the bottom center. And again, I'm using that dry brush technique to kind of drag out the rest of that paint. And it's creating these striations and streaky marks, which I think kind of fit in with the vinyl record. I'm going to do a similar process for the middle section, using a darker value of that Prussian bluish color. If you want to go that extra step, you can even write in your dad's favorite album or song. I decided to add just a little bit more detail using a white gel pen and just adding some dots here and there. If you don't have this, you can easily use whiteout or omit this step. And for this card, I'm simply writing "You Rock, Dad." love this. This last tutorial is for the Star Wars fan in your life. This is appropriate for anyone who loves Star Wars. I decided to sketch out the handle of the lightsaber. And I'm using a size 1 round brush to paint different parts of the handle. Notice how I'm using different values for the different areas of the handle to show some dimension. The very top part I painted in a medium to dark value. And then as I move downward, I'm going to alternate, again, just to show dimension. My paint consistency is creamy. I don't want it too watery because I don't want it bleeding into other sections. This middle section of the handle, I added a small circle because that's going to be the color of our lightsaber. And then for the main part of the handle, I'm making the outside part of the handles a darker value and then washing out my brush so that the middle part is a lighter value. And again, showing that dimension. I'm just darkening some areas that need it. And now let's move on to the light. You can do a different color depending on your favorite character or your favorite color. I decided to go with the bright green. I probably should have used a ruler for this because my lightsaber came out slightly crooked, but that's okay. This is how you know that it's a handmade card. I'm using a bright yellow-green / lime green color. And again, I'm keeping the center of the light beam pretty light in value, and then making the edges a lot darker. The lightsaber comes to a slight point, not completely to a point, but almost. And although I'm using a size 1 brush, feel free to use a smaller brush if you need to, or you can even go with a larger brush and then just do it in one stroke if you want. I'm adding that same green color to that tiny circle in the handle part. And for some extra effect, I decided to add some splatter. So I'm still using my size 1 brush, but just getting a really watery mixture of that green paint and just tapping lightly on my brush to release the water and paint blobs. You can use a larger brush as well if you want to for some different sized splatter. Let that dry. And then for the text, I'm writing Best Dad in the Galaxy. And there you go. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. I hope you had fun painting these Father's Day cards. I'd love to see your work. If you post on social media, you can tag me at Audrey Raw Design and use the hashtag PaintWithAudrey. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and comment below with something that you might have learned or just to share your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you next time.